Diplomats from Iran and the United States are due to meet in Rome on Saturday for negotiations over Tehran's rapidly advancing nuclear program. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi arrived in Rome earlier today. It's the second round of talks following a meeting in Oman last weekend. Iran told the US it was ready to accept some limits on uranium enrichment, but needed strong guarantees that any deal would hold. Araghchi was in Russia on Friday, where he expressed skepticism over the intentions of the US, which scrapped a previous nuclear agreement signed during President Donald Trump's first term.
Although we have serious doubts about the intentions and motivations of the American side, in any case, we will participate in tomorrow's negotiations with the seriousness of the Islamic Republic of Iran and full determination. We are fully prepared to pursue a peaceful resolution for Iran's peaceful nuclear program.
And for more on this, let's talk to Simon Mabon. He's an expert in international relations and terrorism, joining us from Lancaster in the UK. Simon, what are the chances of reaching a deal?
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. I think the chances of reaching a deal today, or at least in this round of talks, are quite slim. But I think what we are seeing, following last week's discussions, following what will happen today, is the gradual building of trust with the aim of getting to an agreement at some point in the near future. That is the hope. Of course, the reality is that there's a lot at stake here. There's a lot of different moving parts. Both sides have expressed a degree of sort of cautious optimism, referring to the previous talks as constructive. But then there's also the worry, as we heard yesterday in Moscow, about the various other factors that could be thrown into the mix with regard to the US position here. So I guess things are moving gradually in the right direction, but there's all manner of hurdles still to cross.
Now, Trump says that the deal he seeks with Iran would not be similar to the 2015 agreement reached under the Obama administration. What would be different? What does he mean?
Well, I'm not entirely sure here, but I would imagine that he's seeking to have a much firmer, much stricter deal, one that dramatically limits any scope for uranium enrichment. Now, that would be in breach of Iran's obligations and Iran's rights under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. So there's a whole host of other different diplomatic and legal machinations that need to be resolved here. But the other suspicion is that this deal would also include restrictions on missiles, ballistic missiles, and other types of hardware that could be used by Iran as the sort of the delivery mechanisms for any type of nuclear weapons. Now, that is something that Iran has said that they will not countenance right now, that is not part of the negotiations. But if that is what Trump is aiming for, something that is far more comprehensive, far tighter, then I think that the chances, the likelihood of getting any type of deal right now are pretty slim.
Now, Iran and Russia have strengthened their military relations since the start of the war in Ukraine. Where does Russia stand in all of this?
Well, Russia and Iran have got this long, complex history. They've of course, doubled down on a relationship right now in light of the sort of the shifting geopolitical contours of the Middle East and of global politics. I think that the complexity of the Russian-US relationship and dynamic right now under Trump is an interesting factor. But I don't think much has changed significantly in the sense that I'm sure Russia is quite keen for there to be a deal, but for a deal that doesn't necessarily embolden the US to play a more active role in global politics. We know that Trump has sought to bring about an end to the war in Ukraine, one that seemingly favored Putin more than Zelensky, more than the Ukrainians. So how we bring that into the dynamics is again, making things a little bit trickier, a little bit more complex. There's a lot of different moving parts here.
Simon Mabon there, an expert in international relation and terrorism. Thank you very much, Simon.
Thank you.